Hi, KUCR here at NAMM 2019. I'm here with Ruben from Roli. He was just jamming out on one of their products, so he's going to tell us a little bit about it. Can you explain a little bit about the product and kind of how you guys came up with it, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the Seaboard Rise. And the Seaboard is kind of where Roli all started. And the idea behind it was to take the piano, right, which is a very familiar layout of notes, super commonly used for composing, performing, and make it more powerful, make it more expressive, to be specific. Because if you think about how a piano works in comparison to other acoustic instruments, there are some limitations, right? If you play a string instrument or if you play a wind instrument, you're physically interacting with the sound, right? You could vibrato the string, you could play with a different part of your bow, you could breathe differently, you could bite the reed, all these things that would affect the sound. Whereas with a piano, even an old school piano, it still is a machine where you're pressing a button and then that is making the sound happen. So the one thing you can do with a piano is hit the keys harder or softer to affect the sound. Whereas with the Seaboard, because we've replaced the individual keys with this continuous silicone surface, it allows you to be much more expressive with your performance, right? And it takes what usually would be a very technical thing. If you think about like synthesizers have a bunch of knobs, right? They got wheels, knobs, or you're inside of your computer and you're dragging around a bunch of automation lines, and making things perfect. The idea is to take all that technical stuff and bring it back into a musical experience, put it right in the playing surface. So you can not only hit the notes harder or softer, but you can press into the surface and it affects the sound. You can glide left and right to pitch bend the notes just like on a string instrument, right? So you can do realistic vibrato. You can move up and down to add effects or open filters. It even responds to how fast you take your fingers off the surface. So it's like 5 times the amount of control that you would normally have with a keyboard. And it's really great because it really allows people to compose more organically in the moment, and to be able to create really realistic sound in a way that you can't normally with a keyboard, or it's very difficult to. So people are using it for film scoring, like Hans Zimmer uses the Seaboard. The people who do the music for Stranger Things use Seaboards to control their hardware synths, but also a lot of producers and musicians are using it, and it's really great. But the idea of where we wanted to take this was that we wanted to make this more accessible to more people, right? Because it's really powerful. You can do a lot. I mean, as you have seen in this jam over here, and I'm sure you'll hear more, you can do a lot with it. But you still have to be a piano player, or at least know about where the notes are on a piano to begin to interact with this technology, right? So we wanted to break down that barrier. We wanted to make it, more portable, less expensive, and accessible to people who might not be piano players. And that was the idea behind, behind making blocks. I can bring it over here. So blocks takes the exact same silicone surface, but puts it into an interface that is much more flexible. I just want to get the grid here. I wish you could hear exactly what I was doing. You don't need to really focus on the screen necessarily, but the idea is that it has the same sensory interface, right? So I can press into the surface, I can move left and right, I can move up and down, all those same things, but it arranges the surface however you want. It's totally flexible, right? So right now it's showing me the notes of a scale. If I just follow every light, I'm playing in a major scale. And I can change it to like whatever scale I want. Let's say I want it to be a blues scale. Now I can follow the lights and play in a blues scale. And it's great because even if you don't know what that means, maybe you didn't take years of piano lessons or music theory, you can just choose something from the list and immediately start engaging with that sound world, right? Instead of having to memorize 12 different ways to play every scale. But it's great because then you can instantly use the same like pocket-sized device to play drums, for example. Right now it's totally reconfigured to a drum layout, and you can use all the same gestures when you're drumming, which is really, really interesting to do, like note repeats and things that normally you'd have to do in post-production, right? You'd have to be in your computer doing it. But you can even use it for, things beyond controlling instruments, like it could be for launching loops, or it could be for mixing your tracks, like volume levels. I'm sure you've seen a mixer before, right? It could be for controlling effects, right, in an XYZ grid. So it's really, really powerful and flexible. And the cool thing is that it's also modular, which means you can magnetically connect other blocks together So like, for example, this is the loop block, which gives you, easy access to things that you might use often, like play, record, metronome, quantize, all these different things. But you could have, 2 light pad blocks. You could have 10 light pad blocks. You could have a Seaboard block, which sadly is only over at this table, so you have to come check it out. But we have also a version of the Seaboard that connects right in with the system, modular, really easy to move around. And so we also sell the products in kits. So like, for example, this is the Beatmaker kit. You could get this. It comes with this magnetic snap case. And so you can like take it wherever you need to go. We have the Songmaker kit, which is this plus a Seaboard block. So then you have a keyboard control, you've got your light pad, and you've got your loop block. Or you can buy them all individually and set it up however you want, And the really cool thing is that depending on what software you're using, this product can be really suited for a very wide variety of people, right? Because you can use the Noise app or even an app we have called Roli Play and basically just hold your fingers down and create beats by like, playing different colors, and it's all quantized and really easy and fun to get into at first. Or you can connect it with your computer, fully customize the surface, have it be a really complex MIDI controller designed for your set. People are even using it for controlling lighting and video and stuff like that. So it's a really wide gamut of who, can get a lot of use out of it.
I noticed that it kind of sounds like a guitar.
Yep.
Is that just from the Seaboard? Can you control the Seaboard to be like different noises?
Yeah, exactly. So because these are MIDI controllers, they can be used to control whatever sound you want. And so it's really great because normally, with a keyboard, you can do the same thing, right? You can choose different sounds. Okay, I want to play the saxophone sound. But when you play a saxophone sound with a key, it's like turn on the note, turn off the note, right? Which is very different from breathing into a saxophone where you control the volume and the brightness as you're going. So being able to play a sound with the Seaboard, it really brings to life these instruments that we're trying to simulate, or brings a totally new approach to electronic instruments.
Is there a website or something that people can find out more about your products?
Yeah, absolutely. Roli.com, ROLI.com. Lots of information there. I'm sure plenty of videos of me talking about things. And yeah, you can check out all the products and, all kinds of great material for learning how to interface it with whatever software you might use, right? So if you're an Ableton user, if you're a Logic user, we've recently built in some really great integrations with GarageBand and with Logic. So if you connect in a Songmaker kit, you get full control over the program. So you can play and record directly GarageBand's controls. You can control GarageBand's mixer by default, and you don't have to do any setup. So we're really trying to break down the barriers. You don't have to do as much to start using the products, because a lot of people start learning music and most of them stop, right? Because like, for example, if you play a violin and you're a kid and it takes you years to even get like a good sound out of a violin, sure, some people, 5%, 10%, whatever, are going to continue on and become virtuosos and really make amazing emotional music with that instrument. But a lot of people give up early on. And so I think it's really important to have things like blocks, have things that are easy to get into at first, to give you that positive feedback that encourage you to want to keep learning and want to keep growing.
Well, thanks so much, Ruben, for talking to us. I'm Kiara here at NAMM. This was Roli. Thanks again, Ruben. Thank you.